No.
Right. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, it's raining here, and so I will try as much as possible to speak up. I think we have done language and definition. Have we?
No, sir. No, dog.
We didn't do language and definition.
No,
No,
dog.
please.
But we did inductive reasoning. Have we done inductive reasoning?
No, sir. No, sir.
We have done inductive.
No.
Inductive reasoning by generalization, inductive reasoning by instantiation. We have done inductive.
No, sir.
Really?
No,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Sir, I think last 2 weeks we did
Argument.
argument and non-argument. Yeah.
Argument.
So how many times have you met?
Yeah, argument.
How many times have you met?
Twice, sir.
See?
Twice, sir. Twice.
Class rep, please find a time, any date that is convenient for us to meet online in the evening.
Okay. Okay, sir.
We need about 2 to make up for the time.
Okay.
Available this evening.
This evening. What time?
From 7.
All right. So just alert me.
All right.
And so we'll take this one, and then in the evening we take another one, so that we'll be able to make up for the time lost. And perhaps we'll fix another time so that we'll be able to catch up. So inductive argument, inductive reasoning. What constitutes an inductive argument or reasoning? Reasoning based on the experiences in life.
Doug, sorry for interrupting. Please, Doug, can you increase the font or the size of your...
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
All right. So arguments that are based on experiences from which we draw probable conclusions. Arguments based on experiences from which we draw probable conclusions are called inductive arguments or reasoning. So you can observe something, a certain pattern, and on the basis of that pattern, you draw a conclusion. That is an inductive argument. So if meteorological department observes a certain pattern and draw a conclusion that this is what will happen in this part of Accra, Kumasi, whatever, that is an inductive argument. If you observe a market trend, and then on the basis of the market trend, you take certain decisions or make certain conclusions, that is an inductive argument or reasoning. So for inductive argument, though the premises are there, the premises, as we said earlier, I think last 2 weeks or so, the premises are the evidence adduced to support a conclusion. So you can have the premises or the evidence, but the evidence may not be enough to support the conclusion, or the evidence may be weak. So all inductive arguments are based on probability. The claim that is made is not certain that it will be the case. But on probability, you can draw that conclusion. So when the evidence is strong enough to support the conclusion, we say the inductive argument is strong. Where there's enough evidence to support the conclusion, the inductive argument is strong. If the evidence is insufficient to support the conclusion, then the inductive argument is weak. So we'll just go through the types. So this is a weak, strong and weak inductive argument. So we go through the types of inductive arguments. That is where my focus is. So we are looking at inductive arguments by generalization and inductive argument by instantiation. What is an inductive argument by generalization? It is an argument that a conclusion is drawn based on a sample, based on an observable pattern, not based on the general object, information about the object, but based on a sample, information about the sample, a sample of the object or the population, you draw a conclusion. So I can take about 10 people from this class, observe their performance. On the basis of the information I get about their performance, I predict about the general class, how the general class will perform. That is an inductive argument by generalization. So for it to be strong, it depends on the sample size, and it depends on whether the sample is representative or not, and whether the sample is not biased. So if I decide to take those that are not good in this class to study them, maybe I take about 10 to study them, and then on the basis of that, I predict that the whole class, they are not good, because the sample is not representative. It's not spread across. I only limited it to those that are not good in class. Then my prediction about the general element or the generality of the class may not be the case. So you have dated a fancy lady, she likes money. You dated another fancy lady, she likes money. Maybe you date a third fancy lady, she likes money. And then you conclude that all fancy ladies like money. That is an inductive reasoning by generalization. You have evidence about the particular instances of the population you are looking at, of the issue you are looking at. You don't have general information of the issue you are looking at. You have information about the particular instances of the information you are looking at, or the issue you are looking at. On the basis of that, you predict about the general population. So if you do this, then it is called inductive argument by generalization. Do you get the explanation?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And then, of course, you can analyze the inductive argument by generalization. As I said, you look at the sample size. Is the sample size enough? Is it big enough to represent the population you are looking at? Or it's too small to represent the population? So the size is important in determining whether your conclusion can be said to be good or bad. And then the character of the sample, if the sample is biased, it can affect the population, your conclusion. If it is unbiased, it can be, your sample can be biased or unbiased. If it's biased, it is only limited to some section of the population, not cut across. So for example, you are going to look at the voting part or how people in Ashanti region will vote in 2028 elections, or how Ghanaians will vote. No, how Ghanaians will vote in 2028 elections. And then you pick your sample from Ashanti region. It's going to be a biased sample. The result it will give you will not represent the result of the entire Ghanaian population or voter population. Similarly, if you pick from only voter region, it will give you a biased representation of the issue. And so it must cut across so that it is not biased. And then we have inductive argument by instantiation. Now, inductive argument by instantiation moves from general evidence, from the general picture, to make a conclusion about particular instances. So it's an opposite of generalization. For generalization, you look at the particular instances and draw a conclusion about the general issue. But for instantiation, it's a picture of the general issue. Then on the basis of that, you draw a conclusion about particular elements within the general. So usually for perceptions and stereotypes, somebody says, oh, all men are womanizers. And so when I see any man here, then I conclude that he's also a womanizer. The fact that there's that general perception that all men are womanizers does not mean that if you meet any other man, then you can conclude that that person is a womanizer. It may be true, it may be false. So instantiation will look at the general picture. You know, there's a perception that the Achim are litigants. So you meet any Achim man or any Achim people and say, oh, these are litigants. There's a perception that Northerners are warlike. You meet one or two Northerners and say, oh, they are also warlike. That is an inductive argument by instantiation. It may be true, it may be false. That's why it is based on probability. Any question? Any question there for the two that we have looked at?
No, sir.
All right, then we move on to Solomon Nati.
Sir, Doug, sorry. Doug,
Yeah, don't worry.
in case, for example, what you just said, maybe Global Info Analytics predicted that MPP will gain maybe 70% votes in the Ashanti. And maybe after the polls, the results or the prediction turns. Should we, how are we going to classify that result?
It is the prediction we are looking at, whether it turns or not. That's why we say what you have predicted can come true or may not come true.
Oh, okay, Doc. Thank you.
Yes. So it is based on probability. That prediction may come true or may not come true. So if somebody comes to conduct a survey and predicts that this is what will happen, know that it is based on probability. It may be true, it may be false.
Thank you, Doc.
So that's why when they are predicting, they don't just say, sometimes they won't say exactly this. They will say that NDC is likely
50%.
about, so they put it in general terms. NDC is likely to get about 30%.
Okay.
So it
All right.
when it falls within that, or about 38%, when it falls within that, it can be plus or minus.
You are right, Doc. Thank you.
Okay. Then we have analogical, legal, and moral reasoning. We make comparisons. Analogy is a comparison. We compare two or more objects, two or more situations, and then we draw a conclusion. Analogical inductive reasoning in comparing objects to draw a conclusion. Now, when you compare objects and then you draw a conclusion, the conclusion can be true, it can be false, depending on certain variables. If you are comparing Ghana's economy with that of the US, obviously, objects of comparison are not added. Therefore, your comparison is going to be weak. The objects of comparison are at the same level. Then you can compare the economic indices and come to a conclusion. So I can see, when comparing, the objects you are comparing are called analogs. So if I'm comparing Solomon Nate and Mehdi Felix, the objects I am comparing are analogs. The two people will become analogs. And in the comparison, you have primary analog and secondary analog. What is a primary analog? It is the original object or item which serves as a basis for comparison. So if I know Solomon Nate first, and I know the features of Solomon Nate, and I see Mehdi, and so Solomon Nate will become my primary analog. If I see Mehdi and I'm comparing him to Solomon, Mehdi will now become a secondary analog. So the secondary analog is the object that is being compared with another. The primary is the original item that serves as a basis to compare. So when you compare, there are certain indicators you need. One is the relevance of the similarity. Very important. How relevant is the similarity? How key is the similarity to the issue, to the conclusion? If the similarity is not significant to the conclusion, then your conclusion will be weak. So if you are comparing two cars, for example, and you are talking about them being very economical in fuel consumption, if you compare them by looking at the body of the car, how nice the car is, how nice the upholsteries are, how nice the tires are, they are not relevant to the key point, fuel consumption rate of a car. But if you are comparing the engine capacity and all that, that is significant to the issue you are dealing with. And so when you are comparing, look at the significant, ask yourself, what I am looking at in terms of the conclusion, is this significant to the conclusion? If it is, then it can make your comparison to be good. And then two, now you also need to look at the number of similarities. The more the similarities, the stronger the conclusion. the fewer the similarities, the weaker the conclusion. So if you are comparing two or more things, to look at the similarities to draw a conclusion, then look if the similarities are more, it strengthens your conclusion, or they strengthen your conclusion. If the similarities are less, they do not strengthen your conclusion. And then again, if there's the similarities, which are called disanalogies, if the differences are more than the similarities, then your comparison is likely to be weak in favor of the similarities. So if the similarities are not, we have more differences than similarities, and then you conclude in favor of the similarities, that your argument is going to be weak. So you can also look at the primary analog. That's the original item you're using to compare. If it is not one, so you're looking at cars. If you are looking at the cars, Toyota car, maybe whatever other car, you're not just looking at one car, but you're looking at the brand, the entire brand or the make of that particular year. Their fuel consumption rate is low. So the more the primary objects that can be used to compare, the higher the percentage of your conclusion being accurate. But if you have only one item which serves as the primary analog, then it is likely that you are not going to get an accurate prediction. And then even though you are looking for more primary analogs, it should not be, if you have diversified ones, maybe the primary analog, you can have it in Ghana, you can have it in Nigeria. It's very diversified. It's not just limited to only one jurisdiction or area. Then it strengthens your conclusion or your argument. And then when you are concluding, as I said, you are not specific about the conclusion. You make the conclusion open. You say about this or approximately this. You don't make specific conclusion. When you make a specific conclusion, you may get it wrong. All right. So these are some questions about analogy and all that. So when you are reading, please go through them, because sometimes I pick questions from the book, the way they are, and use them to set my exam questions. Any question about analogy before we move on?
No questions.
Okay.
No, sir.
So legal reasoning. Legal reasoning is also based on analogy. Any lawyer who is making a legal case is making a legal case on the basis of analogy. So the lawyer will take a case. So you go to a lawyer, you narrate your case to the lawyer. The lawyer will now put up a defense in your favor. And he will now begin to compare the elements within your case with what is in case law. So the story you have told him resembles this case which has been decided in court, Mbowura versus this. And that in this particular case, these were the facts, just like your facts. And this was what was there, the decision. So lawyers don't just make arguments in vacuum. When they are making arguments, they are based on case law. based on case law so that they can build a good argument. It's just like you being a pastor preaching, and you don't just preach in vacuum. You don't just preach with a reference to the Bible or quotations from the Bible. When you are preaching, you align the preaching with biblical verses. And that is exactly how lawyers also argue. When they are arguing, they align whatever is in the argument with case law to point to the fact that what they are talking about is similar to what has already been decided in law. All right. Any question? Any question on that?
Sir, please,
No,
can
sir.
you explain a little bit about the legal analogy?
Legal analogy, what I say is that if you have a case, you are being accused of theft and all that, the lawyer will look at the issue and package your issue by comparing it with cases that have already been decided in law, whether within Ghana or outside Ghana. That's what they do. They package it so that whatever argument they make, they quote from case law to back it. If you go and stand in court and you're just talking and talking and talking, they'll ask you, is it based on case law? And so you quote that in this versus this versus this was it. You use that to back your case. You don't just narrate and narrate and narrate issues. So when you are quoting, you are more or less saying that what you are saying is similar to what is already there. Are you fine?
Yes, sir, please. Thank you so much.
Okay. Now, the same applies to
Hello,
moral.
sir.
Yes, you want to say something?
Yes, please. Sir, please, I wanted to find out what about the parliamentarians when they are making law, they're quoting, they are quoting from the constitution. Is it
Speak
also,
loud, speak up.
I wanted to find out the parliamentarians, the quoting they have been quoting from the constitution. Is it also case this thing? Is it also refers to
Yes,
that as well?
it's about law.
Yeah.
It's about law. When they stand up to make an argument, they quote from their standing orders.
Oh, okay.
They can also quote from the Constitution to back whatever they are saying. And so,
Okay, sir.
yes, those quotations position the case within a certain remit, and it shows that what you are going to say has a bearing on what is already there.
Okay.
In the
Thank
same
you, sir.
vein, yeah, moral reasoning is also analogical. Somebody says you're a bad boy. That's assigning a moral value to you. You're a bad boy, right? The person's conclusion about you is based on a particular standard he or she is using. And I'm sure you've done moral and ethics, that there's no universal standard to determine morality. And so if somebody tells you you're a bad boy, the person cannot just say you're a bad boy out of nothing. The person is comparing you to his or her standard of what constitutes bad or a bad person. So the person will have a certain mindset set about who or what constitutes a bad person. And so when you behave in a certain way that is similar to his or her understanding of a bad person, then you say that you are a bad person. So what you find is that moral reasoning is analogical, comparing what is the case now what is the case now against what the person's standard is about the case. So if somebody tells you you're a womanizer, that's a moral reasoning. It means the person has a certain standard of womanizing. And you and I will understand that there's no universal standard to measure morality, right? So you can be a womanizer to the person, but to somebody else, you are not a womanizer. You can be with so many girls around you. You have nothing to do with them. They are just friends, platonic friends. Somebody will see you and say you're a womanizer. You can even be doing business and ladies will be coming up and down, flocking in and out. Somebody will call you a womanizer. Or maybe almost every year you change a girlfriend, somebody will call you a womanizer. So what is a universal standard to measure this? There's no universal standard. And therefore, if somebody should assign a moral value to you, you should question the person. Because the person is comparing you to a certain standard. And that standard is not universal. That standard is subjective. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
To me, when somebody calls me, you are this, and assigns a moral value to me, I ask you, what's your standard? It's your opinion. And your opinion does not define me.
Okay, dog.
Hmm?
For
Nothing.
example, with my administrator like this, example, please.
Yes,
He's
go on.
married to a woman in Ghana here, but
Mhm.
I understand he has been going out with other ladies left and right, and you can see that this man is a womanizer. I have
Yes.
the evidence. People will be telling me your man is doing so to me, and Prof. Oh, I said
Yes.
Prof. Sorry, dog.
Go on,
That
go on, go on, go
one,
on.
that one. How am I going to classify the person? Indeed, the person is a womanizer.
Yeah, I'm not saying you cannot classify the person. That is to you. That's your opinion.
But people are saying that he's a womanizer.
The fact that people are saying he's a womanizer does not necessarily mean he's a womanizer. That's your opinion. If you ask him, will he say he's a womanizer? It is not written.
I'm not sure he will accept it. But that is the true fact.
That is a fact. It is not the truth.
All right, Doug. Thank you.
So if you never can tell what the problem is, perhaps the wife is just not even doing anything at home. The wife will just go and lie down, nothing. Just go and lie down like a log. Or even when he wants to have sex with the wife will say no.
Sure.
You never can tell. So it will force the man to go out.
I agree.
Yes. So that's why it is not just easy to just jump to the conclusion that the person is a womanizer. there may be various variables that are there which you are not looking at.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
moral standards, what you should know is that moral standards are subjective.
Okay.
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 So long as we cannot get everyone to agree to us that the guy is a womanizer, it means it is subjective. It is about you looking at it. To you, he's a womanizer. To somebody else, perhaps he's not a womanizer. Even to himself, he's not a womanizer. Subjective.
Thank you, Doc.
All right. Then inductive reasoning by authority, sign, and enumerate. Yes, there's a hand up, please.
Yeah, hello, Doc.
Yes.
There's this common statement that which goes like, if you train a girl child, you have trained a nation. No, if you train a boy child, if you train a boy child, you have trained a nation. But if you train a girl child, you have trained an individual.
No, it's the other way around.
Sorry. So under which criteria would we put this statement?
This is a subjective statement. When we talked about types of statements, right? And we said statements can be divided into two: objective statements and subjective statements, right? And so it is a subjective statement. Not everyone will agree to it, to say that it is true. Some will say, yes, it is true. Others will say no. It is not making a moral value judgment. It is just a statement making a claim. Or it is, a statement of fact. But that statement of fact is subjective. That's all.
All right. Thank you, Doc.
Okay. All right. We have authorities that we can use as basis to make a conclusion. Sometimes whatever we say is based on the facts we get from an authority. And on the basis of that, we conclude. Inductive reasoning by authority is when a conclusion is drawn from an argument based on the position of an authority. Right? So if the meteorological department should say that it will rain today at this particular time, sometimes you have seen it, and then you tell your colleague that it's going to rain today at this time. How did you get to know? Well, this was predicted by the meteorological department today, and that is going to rain at this place between this time and this time. Your argument is an argument based on what? Authority, or inductive argument by authority. So somebody in your organization, yes, somebody, I saw a hand up.
Sir, please, Doug, please, with what you just said, is that maybe Ghana Meteo predicted that maybe it will rain in Greater Accra. So I will communicate to a friend or my family members that they should post or place their things well because it will rain. And by the end by the close of the day,
and then you base your argument on the fact that it was predicted by the meteorological department.
Okay.
So if you base your argument that I am not saying it, this is what Ghana Meteo has said, that it will rain at this time. So get prepared.
Okay.
Your argument is based on authority.
Yes, well understood, Doug.
Like I remember quite well when my sister had her first menses. And then my mother cautioned her and said, look, if you have your menses and then you have sex with a man, you'll be pregnant. And then my sister took it like the gospel truth and went about telling her colleagues that, oh, if you have your menses and then you sleep with a man, you'll be pregnant. And she was very naive. The colleagues had experienced it. So when she said that, they said, no, it is not true. And she said, she insisted it is true. And that the mother told her, and the mother cannot lie, so it is true. Her argument was an inductive reasoning by authority.
Sure.
I don't know whether you have seen or chanced upon this clip by this Nigerian actress Ebube. She was having a discussion. I think she was there with the mother, the grandmother, and some whether the sister or something like that. So there were four. And then she asked a question: who is a virgin? And then the mother said, a virgin is a lady, a girl, a man has never touched. And then she concluded, thank God I am no more a virgin. Based on what the authority has defined a virgin to be. So thank God I'm no more a virgin. And they say, how? That plenty men touch me. Right? So her explanation or her position was based on what an authority has said a virgin is. And so concluded that she was no more a virgin. And then we have inductive argument by sign. So like inductive argument by authority. If you go and you go to the hospital and the medical tells you that you have HIV, and then you begin to panic or do certain things to treat yourself, your action is based on what an authority has told you. So you're driving, the policeman stops you, park here, and then you park. Then somebody says, oh, why did he park? I parked because the policeman told me to park. So your action is based on that of an authority. The authority, you are obeying the authority, that's why you have parked. And then we have inductive argument by sign. Signs serve as a basis for us to make certain conclusions. Somebody can see you and be looking at you, and you begin to feel like, no, there's something about this guy, or something that this guy knows about me or is trying to do to me. You know, when you see somebody, maybe you see a lady all the time, you wink your eyes, you smile at her, you wave at her. You do that constantly, all the time. She may conclude that you are interested in her. Not because you have spoken or said that to her, but because of the signs that she's seeing around. Right? Some of you are married. You see a lady, maybe your daughter or your wife, suddenly feels pale, very lazy, or feels weak, pale, and begins to throw out almost all the time. You yourself, you conclude that there's something wrong. It could be sickness, it could be pregnancy. Inductive argument by science is utilized a lot in the medical profession. When you go to the hospital, they try to look for the signs That's why they ask you, how do you feel? Do you feel this? Do you feel that? Do you feel that? So on the basis of the science, then they are able to narrow down the conclusion that it may be one or two of this. That is the cause of it. And then they begin to zoom on it, to focus more on it, for you to do, how do you call it, take a test to be able to get to the conclusion. Yes, Vincent.
Doc, good afternoon.
Yeah, boss.
Please, should you sleep and then have a dream that someone you know will die, and you equally tell the person, say, you had a dream that he or she will die, and with that, do they have to question you for that statement?
Hey, so if you believe in dreams, some people don't believe in dreams, but you believe in dreams. You have observed your dreams, and you know that about 90% or 80% when you dream, it comes true. And so you dream that this person will die. On the basis of that, you told the person that you be careful, you're gonna die. Your argument is an inductive argument by sign. That the prophets, they see the signs, the pastor, they see the signs in the spiritual, and then they communicate it to you. The malams and all that, they see the signs in the spiritual and communicate to you. But the point is that when they see those signs, it is not 100% that it will happen. It can be corrected. It can be affected. That's why they say prophecies are made to redeem. It can be corrected. But at least the signs serve as a basis for you to make a conclusion. Like the university chaplain, for example, dreamt that somebody was going to face problems in the university. A professor, the dean of the business school. And then he informed him that pray to avert this. I've seen this in the spiritual realm. Pray to avert it. And then the man said, thank you. Just 2 weeks ago, it happened exactly the way he saw it in the dream.
And Doc,
Yes.
please, should that thing happen exactly as you said? Let's say I said I had a dream about you that you would die, and
Don't me,
next,
don't say
oh,
me.
no you, no you, no you die.
You
Our
had a
dog will
dream
never
about
die.
someone. You had a dream
Yeah,
about
okay.
someone.
Someone, and the person actually die in the next 3 days or 4 days. Do they have to, question you for that, or let's say report you, say, okay,
It
you know
depends on
something
who
like
you are
that?
dealing with. I know in this society, that's why when some people see dreams, they don't say it straightforward because they know that some people can take them on. So they decide to put it in a certain way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Doug. For example, during Dr. Ekufu Dampare regime as the IGP,
Yes.
if a prophet will come or stand on his pulpit to prophesy that so and so is coming to happen, quickly the police will arrest the person to
Yes.
investigate. Yes.
So they will have to put it in a certain way. You know, next semester you'll be doing communication skills. They will encode the message in a way that encoding is the packaging of the message. Package it in a way that it is not directly saying about it. The name will not be mentioned and all that. Because you never can tell. Some societies, there are laws to prevent that, to stop people from just saying that, because it can cause panic. All right. We need science. We need the science. You can study the science somewhere. Maybe the way people are talking, you can study and say, the signs are not good. It's likely, if you're not careful, Ghana will explode. We pick the signs. You know, some of you are into the investigations, the police and all that. They pick signs. The signals are there. They use the signals as basis to make a certain conclusion. So if you see the police and start shivering, people and start behaving in a certain way, somebody who has done a little bit of training regarding criminology and all that, or the actions of criminals and something like that, so will begin to say that no, there's something suspicious about this. The signs, not that they have, all the data to prove it, but the signs point to the fact that this person can be a suspect.
So, Doug, please, as students, we don't also need to, place our trust 100% in the sign, because it's two things. Either it will happen or it will not happen.
Exactly. So don't think that the lecturer is laughing and all that, very nice to you in class.
So he
The
will give
signs are
us,
there.
yes.
This lecturer
So
is nice
maybe
and
when
blah
we
blah
are
blah.
doing lessons,
It's
sure.
good. I'll pass. I'll make an A. You can it can
You
be
are
true, it can be
deceiving
false.
yourself. For example, Doug, MP for New Jabin, he made a
Okay.
promise that he will not contest for the third time. But in
Mm-hmm.
recent times, he's creating necessary attention. So people are saying that no, the MP want to contest for the third time. So
Yeah,
people were like,
they are seeing the signs.
yes. So I called him yesterday and was like, no, I will not go for the third time. I heard people saying that the necessary attention I'm creating, people are
Uh-huh.
saying I want to go again. So when I called him yesterday, he was like, wow. So if I move with the perception or what people were saying, I
Uh-huh.
may ended at the wrong place.
Exactly. You may have ended at the wrong, made the wrong conclusion. Yes. So that's all that we are trying to say. When people are making certain signs towards you, don't assume that this is it. You can have a lady flirting around you, come and hug you and all that. You try and see that you want to penetrate. You can
You die.
be.
You
You
will
will
not
die for.
allow.
You will die
Yeah,
for.
it's
Time
happened
back.
to someone. She can, sue you for rape or
Yes.
sexual harassment and all that. You will think that, hey, Charlie, this one
Nice
thinks
example.
that, yes,
Nice example.
I don't
is
understand.
a,
I don't understand what you mean by penetrate. I don't understand.
You will die for.
me too, I don't understand.
Not the
You guys
scalping.
are bad, I've used a moral what? Moral reasoning. I say you guys are bad. Moral reasoning, right? Because I am I am judging you according to a standard, my standard of who a bad person is. All right, so let's be careful when we see certain signs. It's just like you see the clouds form. Yes, the signs are there, it will rain. But you know that the clouds can just empty and not even a single drop. But it will help you to predict. But the prediction is not 100% true. It's based on probability. We've talked about authority. So when you make an argument based on authority, you have to find out whether that person is the right authority or not. If that person is not the right authority, then what it means is that the conclusion that you have may not be accurate. So I am not a medical doctor, and I see certain signs on you, and I tell you that, look, go and do this, go and take this medication. And then you based on that to take it. Maybe something happens, you say, oh, this man said I should take it. Right? I am not the right authority. And so for me, for you depending on me, should not be there. But it happens in many times that somebody will tell you, oh, this medication is good for you, or these herbs are good for you, will be good for you. I've taken it, it is good for me. So you can also try it. So first, if it is good for me, does not mean that it will be good for us. First, we have analogy there. Second, you are relying on me to do something. You are taking me as the authority because I have used it, it is good. And you have told me, I have told you, therefore, if you also do it, it's going to be good for you. So there's authority, there's analogy in that argument. But it happens all the time. Somebody will invest in a particular project, and then will tell you, yeah, if you invest here, it is good for you. Maybe the person is not an investment consultant, and then you go and do it. Yours doesn't work. And you begin to blame the person. The fact that the person has invested and it is good for him may not be the case that it will be good for you. So you look at the credibility of the authority. You are looking at the consensus among the authorities. If there are two or more authorities, are they all saying the same thing? Maybe you go to a medical facility, the doctor examined you and then came to this conclusion. And you decide to go to another medical facility, and then it's the same conclusion. You decide to go to the next medical facility, it's the same conclusion. So there's a consensus among the authorities. In that case, we can say that yes, what is being said is true. And you can have situations so that you go to a medical facility, they will diagnose you and say it is this. Maybe you don't trust. You go to another facility, they're giving a different result. You go to another one, they're giving a different result. There's no consensus among the authorities. And that makes it difficult for you to accept one conclusion. And then whatever that is said, it must be based, it must have relevance and context. I can say something about medical issues within a certain context, even though I am not an authority. But if it is outside context, even if a medical doctor should tell you something, and you do it outside the context, outside the relevance of it. So they say, oh, well, if you have asthma, it's good you take weed. It will clear the asthma. That is the context. But if you take it outside, they say, oh, once it is good to clear asthma, then you must just take it. It is good for your health. You have taken it outside the context. And that may weaken your argument. And then, of course, yes, the transparency and methodology. How transparent is it that the conclusion that has been made, what are the processes that the person went through to draw the conclusion, which you are now using as a basis for your argument? If it is transparent, everyone should be able to see it. And that to say that these are the processes, and the processes are clean. We should be able to identify the method which is used. And then any other person can verify it independently. It must not just be only one person. Many people should be able to verify and say, yes, this is it. So we need to, of course, critical evaluation and all that. We need a number of variables that we have to take note of if we are engaging in an argument by authority. Then we have enumeration. An argument by enumeration, dative argument by enumeration. It's more or less like statistical inductive argument, where the conclusion is put in statistics or is put in the form of figures. So if you have 10 people, you are studying 10 people, and then you say, out of these 10 people, 6 of them are like this. And then you conclude that 60% of students, ICD students in GCTU are like this. That is inductive reasoning by enumeration. The conclusion is put in terms of figures. Or you can have, so the enumeration can start from a particular to general conclusion. It can start from general conclusion to a particular conclusion. So you know that general conclusion, you know that from general, you know that about 80% or 90% of people who complete school, universities in Ghana, do not immediately get jobs. And then you see some people here, and then so these people belong to the 20% of, they say that, oh, they are not likely to get jobs because they are likely to belong to the 80%. But it's also possible they are likely to belong to the 20% that can get jobs. Any question?
No question, no question.
No question on that. So then you have statistical inductive argument. This one involves a whole of statistical proof put in the form of percentages or figures in the form of percentages. At the end of the day, you come to a certain conclusion. It's all about figures completely, with diagrams, with Venn diagrams, with histograms and all that, to prove a certain conclusion. You can also have causal inductive reasoning. Causal inductive reasoning, that you look at certain things and predict the cause of it. So I slap Felix. Felix collapses and dies. Causal inductive reasoning will point to my slap as the cause of it. It may be true, it may be false. It could be that my slap just coincided with Felix collapsing and dying. So unless further tests are conducted, we will not be able to get to the bottom of it as to whether my slap is a cause of it or not. There are many situations that people just associate two or more events and say that one is a cause of the other. That can be true, that can be false. But it serves as a foundation for further research. But if you just take that to be the absolute truth, you are likely to fail. Are we fine?
Yeah, we are
So
fine.
causal
Yes, sir.
inductive
Yes.
reasoning is used also in the medical sciences to look at the causes of things So wherever you go, after having looked at the signs that are there, they now investigate to look for the cause of it. Sometimes they may not just investigate, they will just, some medical facilities will just assume that this is the cause. Because you are having symptoms of malaria, and then they'll just assume that it is malaria. But in most instances, they go deep to know the cause. Of course, you may be having malaria, and that's why you are behaving this way, that way. They may be treating the malaria, but there's another cause. I had my younger brother who had a severe back pain. We took him to one of the best medical facilities in Ghana, or in Accra, not the best, but among the elite ones. I know from the gradual process to the highest, they start from the basic. No scanning. And then so it may be orthopedic. And so they have to place him on a massage and all that. And then they did a scan, an X-ray, and said, oh, there's a tiny crack in the spine. But that, they kept seeing different causes. Eventually, they had to do the CCTV scan. There they found that he had a tumor that pressed the spine down. By the time they got there, it was too late for him. He could not walk again. They did the operation, got the tumor out, and for 3 years now, the guy cannot walk. So yes, the test can give you a certain result, and then you say this is the cause, but it may not necessarily be the cause. Last year, I had a surgery. Anytime I went, I kept having, pains in my, that's the lower part of my ribs, that below the ribs. And the first one, so it's likely to be kidney stone. So they did the test. Oh, so I should be taking this, blah, blah, blah. And then I was having difficulty in my stool. Then they recommended a dietitian, blah, 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 blah. Unknown to everyone, it was appendix.
Wow.
You said the way you are saying it, is it a true life story or it's an example?
It's a true life story. If you see me one-on-one, I can show you how they bisected my tummy from top down.
Wow. So, Doc, with all this
This
session
is
we are having,
serious.
this class we are having, meaning that in case you are having an issue, you don't need to conclude. Maybe a doctor is saying that because of your headache, maybe hypertension or so and so. You don't need to conclude. You need to, go further to do either investigation, like decisions like this. What you are teaching us goes with decision making. So when you hear somebody saying this, you need to also find a different way to compare whether what the person is saying is true or not.
Yeah, if you can find a different way, to compare and come to a conclusion, fine. If the conclusion is the same, at least you know that yes. But what I'm saying is that in most instances, they can do it and get it correct for you. But there are exceptions. There are other instances they will not get it. There are other instances they will not get it. So it just happened one day, boom.
Wow.
No stool. And the stomach was bloating because the gas, everything was inside, bloating like something.
Wow.
And I needed a surgery within the next 24 hours. Otherwise, I'll
Wow.
go.
Wow.
Because,
Sorry. God has saved you.
yes, because when the intestines burst and the excreta mixes with the blood, no medical doctor can save you.
Wow.
Right? So these things happen. It's probability. Of course, in most instances, they get it correct and we are fine. Other instances, they will try, especially in Ghana here, that our gadgets are not, we don't have the up-to-date gadgets. All right, so let's move on to, I think we have about 30 minutes. We can just have a discussion, or I can rest so that 7 o'clock, I'll take the next topic.
Yes, Doc, please, with the 7, we are in a group, so we need to decide, because maybe the 7 we are talking about will not favor some of our colleagues.
Okay, so you discuss it and get back to me.
All right,
Doc. Tomorrow 7 is out. Discuss and get back to me. You can have tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? At least even if you get one, this is our third topic. How many weeks do we have more?
Hey, next month we will be having our exam, so.
Yes, next month. Yeah, so if we have 3 weeks, I don't have a problem.
Okay.
Because next week we are coming for face-to-face.
No, next
right?
week we don't have any engagement with lecture. We need to study on our own.
Or next week you are studying on your own.
Yes, please.
Okay, so within the week, let's have at least one, so that
Sure.
we'll have 4 topics within the week. So if you can't have it today, within the week, we should be able to have one.
You are right.
So class rep, you get in touch so that we can arrange. All right. So see you next week.
We are grateful for your time.
See you the next time we meet. If you meet this evening, fine. If you are not able to meet this evening, I will meet anytime within the week. That's okay.
We are grateful for your time, Doc.
All right. Grateful too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye-bye. People are living like something. The calculus is working.
Bye-bye.
The calculus is working here. You just see the number. It's dropping, reducing.
Charlie, they go here. They want to see for no more.
That is how calculus works. So
they sitting the man you
So
they
this
play.
one, we want to find the limit. How are we going to find the limit?
Sitting the man you they play. Yeah.
When x is undefined, negative undefined.
50, 48.
Acentus.
The reason why I love calculus is the ingredients in the calculus. Ingredients be brain.
You there, you for dead there. If one day my gun go plug, everybody Obiaba Jin share.
Soccer.
Today,
somebody will drop down there.
The LMS tomorrow.
So creative.
So creative.
One day my gun go plug.
And then my love. My love.
So you make today there.
That my love thing. My love thing, bro. I don't feel login. That my love thing. I don't feel login.
Calculus go plugging Ghana. You go take. Maybe next month. Calculus is blocking Ghana.
Charlie? Charlie, before if I find ways a means to learn something, then next time
Me,
you
I
go
haven't
write
climbed
something. Charlie?
metallic helmet there.
That meeting you can just say na ida o. It is just Saturday Sundays na.
You know, guess I got thinking assignments be anyone now.
Oh no. Obviously, yeah, a share bio. But I was say this Saturday Sunday never boy. Self studies, you know.
Charlie? You go me go ball. All right. Go ball. Me go just in the city. Go kaka. Go zaka half maybe never ending.
Ebe wundi yenda.
Ebe wundi yenda sasa na ade bwana usho ade wunti ase de never ending. Ebe shelita.
Labor critical, my first lecture new since yesterday. I feel I'm making a critical first lecture. Oh,
Charlie, oh no, on intending go, but never ending.
Maybe I'm going to reading that. Hey, who be the slice in my reading? Wow. And then I was starting first page. You go last page, and now we're ready to page. I was have to go back.
Teach him to drive. Help her apply.
Argument. It is a critical thinking. Okay, there was a argument. They are wanting in a iron on fat.
Help her